people go off the side, but it looks like it's not going to be that off the bat. I believe it's going to be Sanctuary, so we could see some Symmetra teleporter action coming out, try to put those turrets up on the walls and stop the enemy team from coming in, but so far we're not going to see that at all. We're going to see UT Arlington on the tried and true formula that they love to run, is Tomato Lord on this Wrecking Ball. It's just been something they've been running all season, and so far no one has been able to stop them.
Yeah, a super, I mean, an awesome name paired with an interesting choice. We had Tracers on both sides. Now Isaiah going Tracer Cloud. Like you said, that hit scan staying on the McCree. Everybody calling out at this one. Tomato Lord rolling out, as the name would suggest. Everybody on point. That's how it starts. Over towards big health pack is most of the rest of UT Arlington. This is just Tomato Lord getting a lot of flack in the back as Ultra actually falling relatively early here, and Tomato Lord barely gets out of dodge. Does get big health back on the way, but it's going to be, yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be a monumental effort trying to get back. As so far, University of Colorado has really dominated this early game.
Yeah, they have crowd control. They have that flashbang on their side, so they can try to catch Tomato Lord out, maybe Ultra Polito as well. So they have a little bit of a counter to this Chaos comp. That is going to be Colorado taking the first point cap, and if they can keep this up, if they can keep playing as a 6-person squad, just run it down into the squishies of UT Arlington, they might be able to put up a fight here, but Cloud almost going off the side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, oh, and there it is. I believe I'm not sure if he'll be able to get that momentum back up. It's gonna be a tall order for him regardless. Now Dez here, that's who we're looking on. A lot of damage, focusing beam and more, but a well-placed Zarya bubble saves him for the time being. Little high noon action does take out Dez there. A hard to hit Echo was a good selection for that. And Darko once again falls out there towards the very end. Brick can be hard to kill, but it just kind of looks like University of Colorado is making that like a preference to take out this Brig towards the end.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter when they take her out if they're able to get the full team wipe there like they just did. Seems like they're just able to get a lot of good antis in here. As you've seen twice in a row, this Ana is able to ante up the entirety of the squad of UT Arlington besides the Wrecking Ball, just running around in the backline. Tomato Lord has to swap on actually to the Reinhardt, so this is something we haven't seen very much this season, but you know when they're swapping to this, they want to take that one-on-one fight. With the Shatter coming out from Funkmaster.
I think that hit one or two, but just through the thick of things, and every ultimate in the board pretty much coming out. Dez is the only one still with that, and here it comes the replicate. They have falling Funkmaster as well. Big tank, big source of damage. Now Dez instantly shoved out of his assumed form. Zarya's going to be the target, and Ruby's not going to be able to get back on here. UT Arlington looks like they're going to be able to take this after the Ultra Polito switch onto Hanzo, what, 2 lives ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a live or 2 ago. Already 66% to that Dragon Strike, so building up that ultimate pretty quickly. It's really unfortunate for University of Colorado. They had a win condition there. They had a great grab. They had a great shatter, but they just weren't able to get the kill onto Tomato Lord, who's swapped onto this Reinhardt and already establishing dominance. That shatter online, and that pick there from Ultra Polito is going to stagger Colorado for just a little bit longer. It might be time to swap off of this Tracer.
Yeah, well, Isaiah finding trouble on the Tracer. I think UT Arlington had a Tracer player finding a little bit of trouble in Ultra Polito. Maybe just not the move forward here on this Nepal map. Antis and more coming out. We're on board with Tomato Lord just swinging away and getting it done. Sometimes you just have to press W and swing away. Love to see it. Tomato Lord trying to get back on this one. Does a little bit low as well, but UT Arlington has stabilized.
And that's a great fight for UT Arlington. Sure, they only get 1 pick. Sure, they use an ultimate, but 1 nano, that builds up so quickly. So the nano boost will be online very quickly once again for Super Juice. And 2, they keep everything else they have in the bank. They've already given up 91% of this point, so if they lose 1 point, odds are they're going to lose it. So far, they're just rotating their ultimates.
Here comes the speed boosted Cloud. There you go. The high noon taking down not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Throw an Ana on the mix, and that's going to make for a nice meal. 91%, and like you said, I am not sure if UT Arlington without change is going to be able to get there to contest this.
Dez is going to try on this Echo just flying by, but not sure if they can get there. This is going to be the Lucio touching, and no, they are able to get it done. So Colorado winning this first round. Big upset starting off this series. Obviously, it's just 1 point, so there's still plenty of time for UTA to get back in to this map and the series as a whole. But as Rich Ride was telling me last cast or last game, You get an 80% chance to win this map if you win this first point, and that's exactly what Colorado did.
Look at that timing. Cloud coming through there, just literally waiting for all the bubbles, all the shields to fall. Without Bird Boy's speed boost, I'm not sure if that one would have happened. As you said, 80% chance to win this second map. See how it goes. This one's handedly different from the first.
Absolutely.
Just, physically, geographically, or whatever.
Yeah, Village, you gotta play a little bit differently. You usually want to be playing on the high ground as opposed to the point after you cap it, especially because there are no maze coming out from either side. You see Tomato Lord committing to this Reinhardt, so no Wrecking Ball now. This is a big change for usually how UTA plays. Can they adjust to it?
Yeah, I mean, what? Tomato Lord goes on the ball last time. Might have been able to get there in time. Who knows? That theory crafting at its worst. Ultra Polito getting a lot of... Wow, that is the shatter already? Funkmaster doing everything in a bag of chips for his squad. Point literally just opened up, what, 2 seconds ago?
Yeah, and that's going to be the first cap going their way. And again, not being biased here at all. I do know Cloud personally,
no
but
bias,
they have
no bias.
really opened up this series. The flashbang killed there onto Tomato Lore. Just let Funkmaster go in with that shatter. That was a full team shatter. The full team coming out. And it's again, first point cap, or second point cap going the way of University of Colorado.
Funkmaster getting a little bit low on this. Teammate is there for him. Illicit, really the big source of healing on this. Ruby getting hyper aggressive, but paying off for it in spades. Just like that, UT Arlington falls almost entirely. They have an off tank and a main support still alive. University of Colorado uses this as an opportunity to build ults like crazy. There's one player who is not higher than 75.
And that is the Ana who just committed to the Nano, and already you're seeing Funkmaster gonna eclipse Tomato Lord in charge for that shatter, already almost up to another one. You're seeing right now the Tracer just looking in the back end, gonna be looking for that pulse bomb, not gonna find it, it's gonna fall, but is gonna find actually a kill onto Ultra Polito.
Oh, they're not gonna be taken by this one again. Yes, that is gonna be a wasted high noon, but still following it up in the end, that's gonna be enough. Cloud getting mega low here. Ruby not gonna live through this offensive push 2 times in a row. Been getting it done so far, not gonna happen again. Dez trying to get out of dodge, not gonna happen on that as Cloud continues to take just absolutely foundational support from this Bird Boy's Lucio speed boost.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall at the end of that, and the biggest thing there for Colorado is they immediately gave up the point before the fight was over. We saw this in the last series. St. John's just were not able to play the objective there. UT Arlington before winning the fight, they take it, and now they're already at 33%, which could be a big difference maker down the line on this point. Now you see the Gravitons are coming out first from UT Arlington.
No kills quite yet. Nice. Integrate in the middle of it, but just like that, both tanks fall for the side of University of Colorado. Going to be very difficult to get this team fight secured without those sources of support damage. 50% or so as UT Arlington now eclipses University of Colorado for the first time in this Nepal matchup. And just a little bit of cleanup action now for UT Arlington. This is a mega charge Zarya. Those are things our nightmares are made out of.
Absolutely. Hey, Zarya full charge is one of the scariest characters in the game. Imagine it's just like Reaper damage coming at you with so much more health and a way to protect teammates.
It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, and you see that Tomato Lord was looking for a flank shatter, but the rotation just not going to be there, so you're going to have to try to contest closer to the point. The Nano being committed now from User Colorado onto Cloud. They're going to go for the Nano High Noon, but it's not going to find any kills.
Yeah, what they found a quad on the first map of Nepal, not going to happen so easily. Super Juice almost getting called out there. Shatter landing and hitting no one, it looks like. Actually, Ruby looks like he's been spending his life on 50%. Once these team fights are similarly about, what, 50% over or so. Previously, he was able to live through it. Now it's going to be a different story.
This is coming down to the wire. It's just a 2 DPS against 3. It's going to be the Cloud trying their best. The Wrecking Ball isn't going to be able to touch in the nick of time, but can Ruby stay alive long enough for the rest of the team to come back?
Yeah, now just a little bit of stall action. This is going to be the best that Colorado can do for right now, and I do believe that those mines might be the end of the dream here. Dez taking those out after getting credited for the mine kills because he's copying the, replicating the ball. That's overtime. That's 1-1. That's tied up. And that's UT Arlington beating University of Colorado 100-49, which I have to say, Jag, is not as good as University of Colorado took it to UTA in game number 1, or map number 1.
Yeah, absolutely, but now it is 1-1 on this map, so anyone can win the second point and take home that first point in the series. Seems like UT Arlington, they figured out a bit of a strategy to help them win out, and they're going to go once again back to the Wrecking Ball. This is a much better point for it. The boot potential off the side into the hole is pretty great here, and then you see Create's going to be on the Roadhog, so another great opportunity there with Super J. So 3 heroes that can knock people off of the side. Interestingly enough, though, you're going to see Dez swap to the McCree, now going to go back to the Echo. So Cloud not going to be on the McCree this time, going to be on the Ass. There is going to be a counter for that Echo in the sky. And one thing I wanted to say I really didn't like, I did not like that Nano High Noon. Cloud has been doing a great job, but it's just not a good call. I think you got to do it on like the Reinhardt or something.
I was wondering because it kind of seems unnecessary, right? It's like the difference of a quarter second in High Noon lock for damage-wise, right? Like almost a guaranteed kill no matter what, but no matter. A little bit of trade action as both teams lose a tank, but Dez actually losing to a well-placed hit scan shot from this Cloud player. This is the guy we've been watching so far, and there's a lot of reason for it, Jag. Looking back towards point as healers just really crowding this by themselves with Ultra Polito down and Tomato Lord just offering a... Oh! Wait.
Was able to use the coach gun there to stay alive, and it isn't going to be the first...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just barely able to stay alive, but able to do it nonetheless. But it's going to be Funkmaster this time who can't stay alive. So first point cap going the way of Colorado, but now they are down one of their tanks as the rest of UT Arlington is regrouping for an engage.
The reason I was freaking out is I thought that was Illicit's Baptiste, but there's no ground to jump off of, so I was just mega confused for a second. 19-20% here, Illicit, Azia both down. Create's doing what he can. Nice. Oh, man. So what, he rips left to try and pull him off, but Sigma's just, he's a tall character. He's a tall boy. He's a tall boy. Ended up hitting his feet against the ground there and kind of dragging him as opposed to actually pulling him to the left.
He is an extra tall lad for sure, and once again, Colorado getting out the point before the fight is over. This time they have a lot less point percentage on the board for them. And oh, you're gonna see the Tracer almost fall once again for Colorado.
Why can't that happen to me when I'm playing Tracer?
Just freaking, yeah, right? Like it's just like you get insta hooked and you're like, oh man, just like I was right at the corner. How did that go through? How did I get pulled through the wall?
Disappear like Azia.
Good thing for Colorado is they do have a lot of ultimates. They're going to have everything in their bank except for Ruby's Flux online going for this. So if they're able to use them in the right order and able to get picks right off the bat like that, they might be able to win this.
Nice Bob placement. That's going to be positioned kind of bisecting point here. Not 100% sure what the Lucio was doing there. Obviously being there for boot capabilities, but when you have an Ash down bottom, those capabilities are going to be negated. 51, 52%. University of Colorado is not getting shut out of this by any means, but so far this game has really been marked by a whole lot of trades like we just literally saw. Super Juice getting back in the thick of things, and the same exact result. Cloud finding that head that'll crumb to the dome, puts him down and back to spawn. 66, 67% now. This is still going for Arlington, but this is just some stall action. They're just trying to get a little bit closer to that 90-something.
But this is the difference between a great team and a good team. University of Colorado, they've had some good plays so far, but you saw that UT Arlington, even though they lost people very early on, they did not lose the point for a very long time, so they're only about a fight and a half away from capping this point in this first map. Colorado, they've had a long hill to climb now because they used a lot of ultimates there and weren't able to finish off the fight early.
So little Roadhog ultimate, little whole hog action into putting the ball up in a corner, and that's going to work. UT Arlington getting mega aggressive here as Cloud follows as well. Tomato taking one early there. Azia managed to get out of dodge again. We've been watching Cloud, but maybe Azia is the perspective to really be marveled at. Just hit again, there you go. Just straight up gets out on out of dodge. Gets past a Tracer, gets past a Soldier, gets past... What a brig there! And finally at the end there, the shotgun blast, the pellets from Creates does take out Azia on the Tracer.
And now that win condition is in sight for UT Arlington. They're smelling blood in the water. They have a rally. They have the minefield online. But Dez, going to be taken out of that fight. That is a huge pick for Boulder. Now they might be able to get back into this.
Yeah, so there was something solid on board. Dez isn't necessarily near his ultimate, but simple fact, that damage, there's a pull. Funkmaster should be, oh no, he just used his grappling hook, wasn't able to. A huge pull, about as most damage that Creates could get at one point with that hook. Now, Azia still doing the part over here, pull across the middle, and Ruby is actually gonna get killed early. No need to drop him down on this one. Super Juice back on the wall, has that barrier, and there it's gonna go, but not gonna be in time to keep Creates and Tomato Lord alive, unfortunately. Cloud fighting Super Juice again, he has just had his number today.
If there's a cloud in the sky, there is the way. I played with this guy. He is just nutty. So be sure to be keeping attention to that Ashe and seeing what they can do. And the good thing for Colorado is they won that fight only using 2 ultimates. I was worried they were going to overcommit, maybe use the mines as a panic, but instead they have the whole hog, they have the mines, they have the pulse bomb still online. This is last fight, no matter what. Something's got to give. One of these teams has to pull it out at the last second. And they're going to get Ultra Polito. That's a huge start right now for Boulder.
Might be off the back of the just simply using two soft supports. There's no huge sources of healing. Both of these healers, I think they started this at like 10 and 6% or something like this. So University of Colorado going to be taking game 1. UTA again proving that they can bleed after their map loss last week, and now another one following it up here.
Yes, they can bleed, but can they fall? Colorado, they're looking for a huge upset here. Again, this is a team, UTA, that's entering 7-0. This is only their second map loss in 8 games. But if they can keep this rolling, if Colorado can keep this pressure up, they might be able to take this map. You saw that they kind of made UTA uncomfortable. They forced them onto the Rhine composition, which we don't see a lot of from Tomato Lord, a very capable main tank in his own right, but just something that hasn't been shown as much. So I'm sure that UTA, they want to play their game, but now they're being forced out of that. They're being forced into a comp that's more of a mirror, and it's gone a little bit back and forth. They were able to take that second point of Nepal, but that first one, as you said, that was just all Colorado all the time. The last 2 points went back and forth, but at the end of the day, Colorado still comes up on top.
Yeah, I mean UTA, very established Overwatch team here in the collegiate North American region. I would have to be surprised in the day if they didn't play any Overwatch opening up to this, but that would also explain why that game 1 kind of went the way that it was. It seems like game 2, game 3, more indicative of what we may be seeing here tonight. A lot of that back and forth instead of just a one-sided stomp. And I think that the statement made here from the University of Colorado is simply as they will not go so quietly into the night. 4-3 they may be, but they're not dropping this 8th game to go down to 4-4 and not have that positive win-loss record. They want to be in this one 5-3, and I mean putting down UTA, who hasn't dropped a total round or a total matchup so far, put them down to 7-1 would be the way to do it.
Absolutely. We just saw that Wichita State, they were able to get to 5-3, puts you in a very good position entering the spring split. You're going to be like near the, I would say, upper mid tier of the table, but build off that momentum. I mean, think about how much confidence you would build off of this win. Beating a previously undefeated team, that is huge going into the spring. And trying out this new roster for the first time here in EGF, even if it's only one new component, that could really set it up for the future, what you want to do, how you want to play. And so far, they've at least put themselves 2 maps away from winning. So they are a lot closer than UTA is right now.
It's best of 5, yes, sir. This is overall University of Colorado map that has been looking good, like over the season on these control maps. Those are always going to be first. We don't want ties to start this off with, and they're always going to be last in those game 5s. You don't want ties to end these matchups with. And I do believe you and Rich Rad just got a little tie action too, right? Like literally why we have control points 1st and 3rd, right? Or 1st and 5th, excuse me.
Yeah, Hanamura was tied in the last series, and I think you bring up a great point about control in general. It's a very different kind of map type than anything else you see in Overwatch, and also it's the most likely map to be won by the team that is of lesser skill. And that's not to take away anything from Colorado, but time and time again you'll see that it's very brawly, it's very all over the place. So sometimes teams that are better individually than as a team in terms of like team play and coordination, they can just win through pure mechanics. Now the question is, can Colorado keep up that great play mechanically as well as coordinatedly, which is something they're going to have to do as they started out on attack here on Hollywood.
Yes, sir. I am partially saying this for myself and partially saying it for our viewers. Definitely for you as well, Jack. But UTA and University of Colorado have swapped. I would be calling these two teams the wrong name throughout the entirety of this match if I had another stack. UTA stacked up top, nice little defensive setup. Looking like huge sources of damage when it comes to the Echo and the Han. So, little risk action. It's not frequent that we'll see her so much anymore, especially after some of our changes recently, right?
It's very interesting right now because you're seeing the composition that's coming out from Colorado. They are trying to just knock off UT Arlington from this high ground, but there's just so much spam damage coming out. It's going to be very hard for them to doing them. You're seeing the Echo very low over and over again, but there is a first pick on the Super Juice, so all of that main healing is gone.
Alright, this looks... Okay, nope, excuse me. I was going to say this looks like just a little bit cleanup action, but Ultra Polito taking 1, Graves taking 2, and now UT Arlington all over this one. Yes, they're on defense, but be kind of surprising this happens so early. So my question to you is at what point if you're a UTA member, at what point do you tell Super Juice you just gotta play a little bit more conservatively, right?
I mean, I think it comes down to just the team as a whole. As you see, they're playing on the low ground. They're not even going to try contesting the high ground. They're going to play the back of the point. And I think that's a much better call here, so that way no one can get knocked down or separated. And you just want to play as a 6. You want to play all together. You want to make sure that all that healing can be there in the group, because Baptiste is AoE, so those grenades being thrown into everyone.
Yes, everything he does is AoE. Dragons down Main Street here, as that's going to be 2 different players here. That's for University of Colorado, just barely getting out. Little focus beam action. Dez making it look easy.
Yeah, I think Colorado have to swap off of this. The Baptiste doesn't really make sense to me in this composition. You want really fast supports, and Baptiste is more stationary. So I think something like a Moira would make sense. Maybe have an Ana, because even though she is stationary, at least she can do much longer range healing, because she has no arc. Well, Bap does have an arc, so those grenades might not always be as accurate as you expect them to be. They do have the Implication Matrix. It's all they have on Ryan right now, but I'm not even sure how you use it. You can't really use it for damage boost, because you're going to be using it for healing if everyone's in front of you.
I'm with it. Ruby has been a damage sponge all day in the call earlier, continuing that theme now, but managed to stay alive. Very, very impressive. Yeah, not saying anything technically about that one. Dez in the front here, just really providing a lot of support to block off this main chokehold, but back up top as Dez goes out. Nicely done. Good coordination there between the Orisa, that's Tomato Lord, and Dez on that Echo. Both Echoes forced on out here as Tomato Lord is who we're moving on with. Both tank ultimates on board for UTA, so they're going to be in a really good position coming up here. Super Juice with the late window?
Yeah, just it's an all you get back pretty quickly. That change that came through right now on the experimental patch where it increases the cost, not happening just yet, so I'm sure we'll see Super Juice have it back during this fight, honestly. And here's the Gravitic Flux coming out early in combo with the pull.
And does get it, but just, yeah, I guess that's a perfect example of what happens if you Gravitic Flux by itself. Now, it's a great job of blocking this out, but just simply by itself, not going to be a whole lot can't get done. University of Colorado just kind of positioning around here. They'll be getting it back here in just a second. There you go. Now with, and this is kind of back to your point. A Lucio would be awesome right here, especially given they know they're going to be defending from high ground. Darko trying to report down bottom. Big charge, but just the simple fact that Ultra Pulido takes not one but 2 headshots against both tanks. The entire tank core from University of Colorado killed by Ultra Pulido with just a couple storm arrows like that.
I just think anything besides the Brigida would be good. I talked already about why the Baptiste isn't great, but Brigida, unless you're, going right into the opponent, there isn't much that can be done with her. The rally was there, but now the Lucio swap's coming out just a bit too late, and they don't touch. They have the blade. They just use it, but they just aren't able to get onto the point, and it looks like Funkmaster was right on the edge too, so I'm not sure if they were in the middle of the air when the timer expired or what happened there, but that's a big misplay by Colorado.
Truly, I hate to see it. It feels bad, man. Heartbreak Hotel checked in, whatever you want to call it. That sucks. University of Colorado not able to touch right there, so they're going to be staring down the barrel of a situation that is literally just tie at this point, right? Oh, hey, this be map 2. That'd be something you're familiar with, right?
It could be a tie here, but it's pretty unrealistic, I think.
I'm saying their best reality is a tie, right? They cannot win at this point, right?
Yeah, Colorado, they cannot win anything. They did not get a tick. They cannot win at least this map. They can win still the series. They did not get a tick, so nothing that can be done there. Best situation is a draw, and it's possible, but it's pretty improbable. This is a first point. The spawn is pretty close for UT Arlington, so it's not like a 2CP map where, the assault map type where the spawn is really far away for the attacker. So even if UT get only a few picks here and there, if they're able to come back in full force and the respawns haven't happened for Colorado yet, they should be able to take that fight pretty swimmingly. And I just think right now their composition is a bit better. Brigida, she got nerfed recently, so there was a bit of a time where she was being played in double shield instead of Zen, but now that she's 25 health weaker, that makes a whole world of a difference. And again, if you're playing a bit farther away and the DPS you have, the Echo and the Ashe, sure, you can armor pack them, but your primary way of healing is your Inspire. You can only do that by wailing away.
I'm with it, and then that just simply forces them to stay close by if they do get low. If they're out and about, not going to be ideal. Cloud and the rest of University of Colorado opting for the high ground hold again. Not bad so far, but that is very bad. The main tank here Ruby does have that Sigma shield, but that's just a little bit hard. Well placed Dynamite here, but now Ruby down as well. Funkmaster switching on over to that ball to try and get back. Dez on top, they only need a tick, and I think this one has a bow on it.
Yeah, just to wrap it all the way up. Only an Ashe on the point. The Wrecking Ball is going to come in from Funkmaster, but once you lose your Orisa in a double shield mirror, it is almost impossible to win it unless you have some ultimates built up. And you're not going to have ultimates built up if the round just started. A very quick and clean finish there for UT Arlington to take a map and even up the series. So sure, they can bleed, but they can also just punch you right back.
Yeah, the main narrative here, I believe, is the simple fact that UTA took this with the speed that they did. University of Colorado took their W in 3 maps, a little bit longer here. But hey, end of the day, maps and map, we're tied up 1-1. Basically purchased ourselves a best of 3 series after this tied up series. Map 1 going the way of UT Arlington. That was 2-1. And now map 2 going, I guess 1-0, which is not something you see very often on a hybrid map, going for the side of UTA against University of Colorado. Tied up here, and unless you have something else, I do believe it's time for a break, Jag.
Yeah, just a little anecdote I would say very quickly is that I hate that it's only a 1-0 score because I feel like that doesn't really show how good UTA was on the defense and offense, but that is the score they get. And with that, let's take a break.
With it, we'll be back with you guys. Some Overwatch. And we are back here. We told you it'd be a short break. FBI Tugboat with my man Jag, and then that's Juke down there in producer's box, producing away, making our jobs as casters just so much easier, and we do appreciate him. This is week 8 of 16, the end of this fall split here for the EGFC. That's the Electronic Gaming Federation collegiate side, and we have, UTA and University of Colorado tied up 1-1 as we head on into Hanamura.
Absolutely, and this has been a pretty back and forth series, especially on that first map. Nepal, it went down to the wire, it went down to that last point, and it was pretty close. But then UTA, they took that map loss on the chin, they regrouped, and then they had an amazing Hollywood. So we talked about it a few times. Yes, UTA, they are not going to have the perfect split. They have dropped maps. They've dropped now 2 to be specific across 8 games so far, but it doesn't matter when you can still win out and get an 8-0 on the split, get that undefeated split going into the spring. That's what you really want, and they came back with a vengeance there on Hollywood.
Yeah, they really did. Nepal just simply looking different, like you said. Something else you said that I have to agree with. It was 1-0 here for map number 2, and perhaps that's almost like a small flaw with 2CP, right? Like the numerical difference there isn't really indicative of how the match can go, simply because if the team who ends up losing is on attack first, then all you need is a single tick if there's a full hold. That's exactly what we saw there, and I think just to speak critically, I think that there could have been different looks at some of the healing cores from both of these squads.
It seems like Zen Bap is really what you want to be running for the double shield because there's a lot of heal potential and there's a lot of damage potential. The Zen Discord Orb is huge, but also the volleys, just the shots from the Zen and the Baptiste. Baptiste's primary fire still does quite a lot of DPS. At one point, did more than Soldier 76. I think that has been changed now with the Soldier changes, but still Bap does a lot of damage. And the problem that you saw for Colorado is they wanted to take the fight to them. They were trying to go for a bit of a rush dive comp, and they just could never get it. You saw the Wrecking Ball kind of caught out a few times. And there, you just saw the double shield that UT Arlington had. They would punish the divey mechanics that University of Colorado had. But now, we're going to see double shield versus double shields. Bit of a variation from the defense. The Mercy instead of the Zen, so they had the Resurrection online. But other than that, it's pretty similar across the board. The only other difference is the Ash versus the Echo. See how that works out. Cloud, as we talked about during the Breaking Down broadcast, has been an X factor here, but is it enough to get Colorado across the board? It looks like the overlays currently are not swapped, but it is going to be Colorado on the defense first, UT Arlington on the attack.
Yeah, so UTA in the red on the right, University of Colorado left in the blue. That's, again, mostly for me. That's fine. So far, defense with Colorado on the red looking like... Oh my goodness, I just messed it up again. I'm gonna avoid that completely. Isaiah back here, just trying to get some chip damage in. That's 1, now 2 shields deleted for the side of UTA. This main choke point here on Hanamura Point A always going to be a big deal, but now looking like a good little workaround so far that they found it. Ultra Polito, did fall here. Invincibility field invested decently early. Dez falling on the side of the defense and the side of the offense. Just go, Jag.
There's one thing I know about Cloud, it's that he loves a Mercy pocket, and the Mercy is great here because of that Resurrection, so you don't have to worry about Funkmaster coming back from spawn. You don't have to worry about UTA trying to get a bit of a snowball here, because if you get a pick here or two, even if you lose the fight, you can get back a lot quicker on the attack, but it is going to be a solid hold for Colorado. That Mercy coming in clutch, and Illicit already gonna have the Amplification Matrix online, but Super Juice has one of their own, so we might see dueling garage doors come out here.
Not one, but both. Shields invested and a window put in between. Ruby falling early here, and Invincibility field invested early as well. This University of Colorado, he's got a couple picks so far. There you go. That's the exact performance that we need. Illicit finding a couple headshots on that one. And something going for the squad. Cloud a little bit farther out here, but has teammates nearby. Ultra Polito trying to get chip damage in from the side, and UTRA realizes it is time to get out of dodge.
Again, it's playing the objective. Colorado, they gave up a free tick there. They had people that could have rotated to the point, but just weren't able to because of the position they were in. So Cloud get really weak, had to hide during that entire engagement. Now, again, it's still a 6v6, even though they lost someone early on, and Cloud does have that ball, but they're going to use the Gravitic Flux first.
Fantastic timing there at the last from Cloud. In between shields, did find a headshot that was not blocked off. Dragons invested, and that's Darko barely getting into the light. Cloud on the side, just really trying to get damage against these shields. Again, double shield, always going to be a big deal. Orisa, that's Tomato Lord down bottom, getting a lot of attention too, and going to be absolutely melted down. They could have used that Funk Master. So actually, no, excuse me, that's the University of Colorado's Orisa that fell, not Tomato Lord, the one who was in trouble right previously there. 90 seconds to go, 40% on point. UTA not looking too bad so far. Now the rotations from Dez start taking this progress. Cloud, he almost has the number. Cloud looking like they've put a fingernail of health left as University of Colorado trying to get some damage in, but that's going to result in, what, 2-3 members down, a full retreat.
It just seems like their positioning for Colorado hasn't been as good. You saw UT Arlington every time has opened it up with a pick, and yet finally they're able to break the door down and actually get the full cap. Bird Boys, you had the Valkyrie online, you had to use it there when the Flux was used. It would have kept everyone off. You could have used it just to go for the res on the Funk Master. When you're flying around, it's a lot harder to hit that Mercy. I know that was not exactly the most ideal place for the res, but sometimes you gotta go for the risky plays, and now that Dragon is gonna separate the tanks from the rest of the team.
Looks like they handled it very well, actually. Funkmaster and Ruby now getting confident enough to start firing shots down this tunnel. Finds Ultra Polito in the thick of things. No mercy on the side of UTA means no res for you guys. They'll have to either pushing very courageously or just simply wait for this huge source of damage in the Hanzo to come back.
Absolutely. That is going to be a bit of a minor reset, but they're going to be taking this high ground still, so they're going to be trying to contest it in just a little bit. You see that it's a bit split right now for Colorado on the defense. They're actually going to have to drop a little bit, but Ruby's going to try to commit that Flux, and it's not going to find anything because the Orisa used the Fortify ability.
Yeah, so cooldown management there from the Orisa, realizing that there's just simply not time to use it so far. Probably a little bit ult tracking as well, knowing the grid of Flux might have been there. High Noon trying to change the clock, not gonna matter. Dragons from the side do catch the fair end, the last couple hairs on the head of Dez there, or the head of Dez who was High Nooning. UTA taken down there, and University of Colorado stabilizing on point B.
Yeah, I guess saw the Battle Mercy come out a little bit. Bruto's gonna whip out the Mercy Glock at the end there. They use a lot though. They use every ultimate except for the Nano. So their ult pick not looking so clean right now, but it's okay because they got ultimates out from UTA as well. Create's gonna have the only ultimate on the other side, and the fact that they have an Ana instead of a Baptiste could be a huge disadvantage here. There is no immortality field to save those who are half health in that Sigma ultimate, and now with that Reinhardt swap, they're not even gonna bother with the high ground. They're just gonna push right onto the point.
A very early transcendence from Darko. We may not have seen it, and may not have seen how much damage it was, but hey, he was definitely a higher level, higher skill player than me. Oh my god, nobody touches! That is what Heartbreak Hotel checked into for the second time in this matchup between University of Colorado and UTA.
Again, the objective Colorado, it's not about getting kills only, it's about playing the point. No one to contest it, and it just happened so many times in the series, but it has not cost them nearly as much as it did right there. That was very much holdable for a good while. Maybe they would have lost that fight and given up the full cap, but they could have held out for another 30 seconds minimum, right? I mean, the spawn is so close. We talk about how usually on assault, the defense can just keep running it back, running in with the faster heroes for that stall potential. So you can see the Wrecking Ball, the Lucio, the Moira, the Tracer, etc., just kind of run back in, but instead they just completely lose track of what's most important there, and it might cost them a lot. See, Arlington, they finished with a little bit less than 2 minutes, a pretty solid time bank here on Hanamura.
This is dual snipers shown from the University of Colorado. I'm not against it. They got, what, 4 minutes to play with? Now with Bird Boys on the Zenyatta, that's looking like a huge just kind of burst damage comp, right? Just try and get this in however you can, take picks, and as soon as one falls from UTI, the idea will be just to flood all the way in there. I guess everybody on the side of University of Colorado except for the Zenyatta does have a movement ability of some sort, so...
Yeah.
Wait, no, the Sigma does not either.
Well,
yeah,
Sigma technically has the Gravitic Flux, right? So they can use that to get up in the air, but that takes a little bit while to get online. You're seeing the Rhine Sigma come out, so they're trying right now to try to replicate what we saw from UT Arlington at the end. They're gonna just try to set up that Widow up in the back, create good sightlines for her by pushing in with these double tanks. They have the Reinhardt, so they have more mobility, and they have just more shield potential in general, but still, this spam that's been coming out all series from UT Arlington has been great, and Ultra Polito gonna find the counterpart there.
Yeah, little Discord orb on top, gonna make it a little bit easier. University of Colorado on the offense here, probably going to have to just come back a little bit this. Again, trying to push these without your Hans is just going to make for a bad day, straight up.
If your Widow can find the angles, it's a huge value. If you can find the squishier heroes like a BAP or Zen on the other side, it's very easy to win these fights. The problem is right now, they're just sitting behind the shields. Now they're going to be moving in, so now there's being space made for these snipers, and yeah, there is the first pick coming out from the Hans on the side of Colorado.
That is the exact opposite of what just happened with the University of Colorado losing their Hanzo. Their Hanzo now finding a pick and doing exactly what UTA did earlier, kind of that rotation early in there, but not the full commit. Now several different players falling on this one. And University of Colorado on their first actual push in, at least going to be getting 75. Yeah, nobody's on UTA is going to be able to get that back there in time, and the Starco just goes absolutely insane, does not hit anything but heads.
You got the infrasights, you got the shatter, both of those ultimates almost online. How do you play this? Do you just run it down middle and try to take the point, try to take a tick, just like UTA did, or do you try to take the high ground? They're going to try to take the high ground, and I do like this play because if you can clear it, then you can set your snipers up there and then just have a shooting gallery. You saw Cloud not contested at all in that last fight and was able to just go ham, but already they've lost Bird Boys.
Yeah, you can guarantee he was speeding through on this, but just everybody in UTA knows where they're at, so it's going to be kind of hard to get through on this one.
I mean, that might be a bit of an overcommitment there by Super Juice, using that amplification matrix. I think they could have held on to that.
Yes, earlier, I would not have been against the University of Colorado just going down the middle, right? It literally just worked. They have the Lucio, have a couple ultimates on board. Why not? As it is, going up top yields and disaster so far.
Well, the amplification matrix offline, so nothing currently online for UT Arlington, but a lot of ultimates just around the corner. So if Colorado wants to shine, it might be now or never, or they might get stalled out for quite a while. The Supercharger now is ready for Tomato Lord, but it's going to be the Gorilla Plus coming out first.
Nobody. No, he did get one there, but again, the Orisa wisely keeping on to the end. Now that's a shatter to end all shatters. Big kills against huge source of damage. The Hanzo, huge source of healing. The Baptiste here. Funkmaster actually gets kind of ahead of himself there. I gotta say, kind of seems a little bit. That's going to be the stairs, looking as the location for both of these dragons. Not one, but both, as they are trying to get kind of damaged in sideways here, but now just gets absolutely focused by people who did come back. University of Colorado not out of this one quite yet. They've got about, what, maybe 20% on this one, but 33 will be where they get their first tick of progress. Darko trying something here, but it's going to be the ball in the middle that so far that is stalling this out. Now 50%, up to 62. Really need to get to 66. Charge out the middle of everything, and Ultra Polito takes down Funkmaster while he is vulnerable. Still not gotten 66 though, so this is a very long-winded fight that could yield nothing past the first tick of progress. 325 or so on the clock here. Ultra Polito getting up close and somehow living. There it is. There's the Tri-Rockets that do take him down. Defense is stabilized. No second point for you, my friends.
And I gotta think they might have been able to get close to the end there if they had played the point after they hit the shatter. Instead, they go for the kills. Funkmaster falls, and now this fight is just not going their way whatsoever. Arlington's gonna stabilize. They do give up 2 ticks in the end. That second tick did come in at the end there, so they only need one more. 69.9% right now on the clock for University of Colorado, and I'm sure Twitch chat is thinking the same thing you just were. But yeah, I think this is really good for Colorado. I think it's really good for Colorado, actually, because look at the all ping for UT Arlington. It's completely reset. The only thing they're going to have is an M Matrix at best. There are going to be 4 ultimates coming out right now for Colorado.
Ruby's so close to this one now. Here comes a Grenadic Flux. Well placed on it. I think he got multiple members, not 100% sure. Funkmaster tries to come up and do the same thing and gets absolutely put down where he stands. Did not live for any amount of time. That reminds me of the Reddit meme about, like, you know, the state of Overwatch is in now, right? And Reinhardt's, and it just stuns City. And that's literally just what happened.
Yeah, that passive was added, so the CC not as bad anymore for Reinhardt, but you saw there, Alyssa just throwing in that lamp a little bit too late. Funkmaster getting a little bit too far forward, and there is another attack push going down the drain now. They're not going to be able to cap with more time. They can still cap with a considerable amount of time, pretty close amount of time, if they get it done in this fight. But if they don't win it here, it's going to start getting very dire. They only have 2 more fights at most after this, and they're already taking their sweet time here with this rotation.
Yeah, so going all the way up to top platform, not going to be the move. A misplaced window on that one. The Super Juice now has that behind the enemy lines of University of Colorado. Did get a little bit up top there, but that's now going to be completely negated. University of UTA is now down bottom. There you go, and the aimbot finding all the value in the world. University of Colorado heard those calls, Jack. They are not wasting any time on this one. Only, what, 33 seconds down from where UTA finished their second point push.
That could be a fight or a re-engage at the end of the day, but still a good time bake for this team. And you saw here that just like the shatter, it really opens things up. And I would say right after you got that second kill, just drop to the point. Don't chase it. And that's why it took longer than it needed to, but still able to get the job done. This was a perfect rotation by them. They force out the square from Super Juice. It does not get a lot of value. They walk right through it. They use a square of their own. They take the perfect positioning for that tactical visor from the Soldier 76. And 1, 2, 3. That is the last hit going the way of Colorado. And because they got less time on the clock, they're going to be giving it a go again on the attack first.
Yes, sir. Bird Boys looking a little switch action onto the Lucio. I think really the narrative at the end of that game was the difference in the two Baptiste window placements, right? Like UTA's puts theirs out and it's way too far back. University of Colorado just literally rotates into it, only gives value on shots that go through it. And then Illicit just has the absolute perfect placement to then pair with the Tac Visor.
Yeah, it was just a great play, and ultimate combinations like that are pretty common in a game like this, but it's very hard to execute it, especially against double shield, because Tac Visor can't shoot through shields, but there just found players out of position. The Shatter is thrown in as well, is able to just mine the gap there between the shield and where that Sigma fell, and was able to find that kill that was oh so important. Now we're going to see if they can get it done once again. This time, they're going to have an Ashe without any mercy. They're going to be sticking to that Lucio, so they will have the speed to get in, but already they're being melted down.
Again, this first point is be so crucial. Ruby finding a good one to Ultra Polito. University of Colorado may have found their window on this. Cloud Note has his target. Absolute number. Baptiste, he's got to hit another one. Misses 3 in a row. He knows what just happened. Gave anybody spectating just that little shake. Little knowledge that he knows what's up. Illicit here. This is going to be not one but two supports with the DPS, and nicely done there. That was Super Juice trying to get a little wonk outside, just trying to go outside, get a little bit of Lucio healing on top, but that's University of Colorado now taking first point.
Yeah, that's huge for them. Even if they don't get this second point, just getting a little bit of leeway here to make sure that, they can draw this out or they can just win it outright. It's a great momentum boost for them. And that Shatter, again, is pretty close to being online, so they might have a win condition here. They only have 40 seconds, so realistically, this is last fight. Maybe they lose one person, they're able to just back out and then get a last-second contest, but it's either here or never for the second point.
And now or never, yes sir. Funkmaster very close to that Gravitic Flux. Catches a couple of these, I do believe. The invulnerability field invested. Funkmaster getting a little bit lower, and he was at an even 100. That's going to be easy bait for Tomato Lord's Fire Strike. Full team wipe against University of Colorado.
Yeah, and that's going to be the end of that. A solitary burp there to put the end of that attack, and Bird Boy is actually able to touch. Wow, that's an amazing Lucio tech play, but just gonna fall in the end. I still don't think it's gonna be enough. A great recontest, but it's gonna be all for naught. The Shatter is not gonna be able to come out, and just a great Gravitic Flush that came out early on from Creates. The Immortality Field was just a little bit late. I'm not sure if Bird Boys was in it or what happened there, but once they lost the Lucio, it was lights out. Still 1 point on the board for them, so if they're able to hold UTA to a full hold on the first point, they'll take this map, and if they lose it, at best they can do on this map is draw.
I'm with it. Now just to kind of restate what I said earlier, right? The Hanamura was the map that was drawn last time, as it is after a first point take from UTA. Yeah, that would be 2 in a row. I said it incorrectly earlier. The map 2 was the draw. If UTA takes that on first point, which makes a lot of sense, and then doesn't get anything on second, that's the exact situation we'd be in here, and we've effectively purchased ourselves at least 2 more rounds of Overwatch, so that would be about it. It would be interesting to see, especially in our Week 8 of the fall split of the EGFC, and especially with the UTA squad that is 7-0 so far, 4-3 from the University of Colorado.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of 8 weeks of, momentum from these teams that have been building into this, so you see the teams are playing their best at the end because they've had practice, they've had all of these games, so you can really see teams that maybe haven't played as well rise up to the occasion, play at a new level. and that's what we're seeing from Colorado right now. And UTA, you know, they've been a torchbearer for us so far in this season, in this league. They've been one of the top 3 teams. They have been, you know, tied in this undefeated race. So they really have a lot to prove right now. If they lose this matchup, sure, it's not the end of the world. They'll still be great positioning in the standings. Yet I think, you know, some of that, all they've done, like, it's kind of like British Hurricane and Contenders. They did so well for so long just to lose the last one.
There is the wall. Funkmaster falling, trying to get advantage from it. That's Ruby now down, creates as well, so tank from both sides, Des falling as well. University of Colorado looks like they're holding on for the time being. As they're done.
And they have that Mercy online still, so they can get that res, and so Ruby falling, it's not going to mean anything. You get the Sigma back online, and now it looks like this Reinhardt and Baptiste are just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yep, smart idea there for Darko. Just come on, they don't want to waste any more time, don't want to feed any more ultimate.
And now it's only a minute left for UT Arlington. Sure, they have the Amplification Matrix once again. They have that garage door that can help amplify damage and healing, but if they can't rotate well onto the point or take a high ground positioning, it's not going to mean too much. It is how they won the last point, though. We saw Ruby just too far out last time. That's what really opened this up for UT Arlington on their first attack. They could just try to use it right here at the door as they push in.
Another wall out. I don't think anybody got caught behind it. Nope, here we go. That's Ultra Polito on that Hanzo. Now getting up close, and perhaps it was best for him that he didn't get to the other side. Res invested here. Birdboy is going to be having that res on a 30-second cooldown. Gravitic Flux out and creates found from his counterpart. A lot of damage in. University of Colorado stabilizing so far. 12 seconds. And I don't think anybody's going to get on there, at least without the changes. Creates on the ball.
They still have that May Ally, they still have the freeze, they still have the wall that can be used, and they're going to use that wall just to stop anything from happening. The Blizzard going to be thrown in, and that is going to be a huge map going the way of University of Colorado. I talked about upsets very briefly. Wichita State losing to UConn, I think that was a pretty big upset last week. But this, or, you know, 2 weeks ago, because it's week 7, but we had last week off. But this right here, Colorado can get this final map. That has to be the upset of a decade. I mean, definitely Colorado isn't, you know, again, they've been like mid-upper tier of the table, and they're able to do this. I mean, this would just be huge. It would totally like change the landscape of EGFC going into the spring split.
Yeah, the very, very last opportunity to change it before what our Vincentian playoffs here next week. Like that would be monumental. And literally, what we're looking at, a UTA team that has only dropped one single map throughout what I think it was 6 weeks. Dropped a map in week number 7, and we wouldn't have our narrative right now if we didn't have that map drop last week. Now it is a University of Colorado squad that has taken not one but 2 maps off of UTA. UTA only able to have gotten the 1-0 victory there on Hollywood, which again, score may not have been super indicative of how not close that was really. But in the day, that's our narrative so far. University of Colorado has momentum, a little fire in their belly, and everything else as we head into a map number 4 that could be the University of Texas Arlington's last shot here in the regular season of the EGFC for the fall split.
Absolutely, and you know, regardless, again, if they lose here today, they're still in great positioning. But how does that affect you going into the spring? You know, you were this untouchable, dominant force throughout 7 weeks, and then you drop one map, and then here we see the dominoes falling just a little bit. It's still very winnable for them. A 3-2 could be in their favor. We could see a map 5, maybe even a map 6. It's very unlikely because Escort is very hard to draw, but who knows? They got to win Escort here to keep this series alive. Colorado, they got to win it here to put this series to bed. And 3-1 win. I mean, that's a huge scoreline because generally you'd see something like this and think, oh, well, 3-2, it was still a very close series, but 3-1, that speaks volumes.
That really, really would. Not pushing it all the way, but we'll see what happens here on Junkertown. It is a chaotic town for a reason. All different things are possible here, and this will not be the wildest of them. 2-1 is, again, this might be UTA's last stand here. What we saw Junkertown be the place where it was decided on last matchup. That was the 2 teams that you did, whose names are escaping me right now. UTA. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was, this is where the last series ended up, too. It was Wichita State ending up taking it, so we can see if they end up taking it again here on this map, or we see a map 5. We'll see how that ends up, and right now, University of Colorado on this attack. I'm not going to take anything they're doing too seriously for the tank line. Sigma Winston, that would be something I would not expect, but this DPS lineup is something that is very expected, and it's a good counter actually to what UT Arlington is running if they can keep them at bay. But you know why UT Arlington is running this very close-knit, uptight damage, or up-close damage? Because they're going to be playing right at that spawn door. I was talking about this in the last series. This is a great way to play this map. Even if you lose this fight, it kills so much time off the clock.
Yeah, right there, Maywall up front first, so UTA knows that they have that ability to kind of purchase themselves a little bit of breathing room on that. Cloud actually getting called out as he ventures out from spawn door. 5-6 for the University of Colorado. The spawn will come back very, very quickly, but can I be surprised? There, I was going to say, can I be surprised that they stick with the Widowmaker with this up close and personal? Cloud on the McCree, that makes a lot more sense. He is the dueler. Both shields invested up front. Bankmaster is getting super low, but Ruby's is the one that just gets absolutely melted. Both Sigmas here. We are a Sigma-less 5v5 right now between UTA and University of Colorado. Illicit invests that invincibility field early, but Isaiah falling on the side. Again, the offenders just not really finding a way in edgewise so far.
Yeah, I mean, might see Ruby fall once again, but it is going to be Cloud finding a pick on the Super Juice, so that Lucio is going to be gone. They have that spawn advantage. Funkmaster will be back in a second. There is no speed now for UTA. They'll be able to run in if they stop getting balled off.
Yeah, that's the easier said than done situation. Darko going to have to come out of that in the very end, and the perfect timing on the May freeze goes down and shields him from any various Dragon Strike damage. What's up?
That was a great play, right? I mean, they countered the Shatter that Tomato Lord had. They had that Dragon Strike perfectly there to get UT Arlington either like killed or just like moved back, and yeah, Colorado finally able to win that fight. I will say though, a minute and a half gone now on this attack, so that's exactly what UT Arlington wanted to do, and they accomplished it. They killed a lot of time off the clock. Exactly,
yeah. Well, you're on defense, just eating time away will be to your advantage. Window out early, Illicit there, and Super Juice being way too aggressive. Looks for a boop or something edgewise, not gonna happen. Shields up, mostly blocking it off. These players shouldn't come back in it, but there's the Shatter, and that's what's really followed up these high noons very often in this matchup so far. Funkmaster falling to a net well-placed charge from his counterpart. Rubidic Flux out as Ruby's just trying to get back the rest of his team. Nice rock against his counterpart. Nicely done. Kraves falling there. Ruby just absolutely had his number. That's going to be a Transcendence out that I'm not 100% sure was necessary. Even if they lost one, their spawn door is pretty close.
Yeah, I agree, because also Kraves is about to have that Gravitic Flux online. They also have the Shatter online and the Death Blossom, so there's going to be no defensive ult here. There is an On Asleep. They swapped off of the Baptiste, but that's going to only do one. You can only cancel one of those ultimates out, and it's still a very hard shot to hit.
There's a Shatter. Isaiah gets hit in left field from this. Yeah, just from my estimations, I would have thought he'd been out of the wave damage on that. I don't know. Oh well. 3 meters and a third left on this one as University of Colorado members take the plunge. That makes sense. Don't want to feed any ultimates and come back at this one 1:05 o'clock.
That was all of the ultimates that UT Arlington had online, except for the May Outlaw season in the previous fight. So that's 5 ultimates to win that fight. Colorado, they're going to be coming back with 3 ultimates of their own. So they have things to use right now. The question is it enough to get them over that edge? We saw the High Noon put up a lot of value on control, but here, maybe not as much, and they've already lost their tank line.
Yeah, the High Noon invested there towards the end. Not going to really matter too much, but now Cloud on point. Dez trying to get up close. That's going to be contest for time being. Oh my god, as soon as he comes out, Cloud just absolutely has that number. Gives him the 1-2 piece to Jarko on the other side. That was a UTA member who was just trying to stall out, trying to waste out this time. Cloud's not going to have any of it.
That is going to be the first one. It took them a while to get it, but they are able to get it done. They have ultimates still built up. They have the Shatter, the Gritiflex, and the Nano, and it's just so interesting to see the Ana versus the Moira battle right now. Usually, you see Baptiste and something like this, even with more of a hybrid double shield with Orion and Sigma, but instead, they're going for a bit of an alternative thing, and so far Illicit, again, on this Ana, getting some very nice nades. The Moira just hasn't been enough healing.
Nice charge on that one. Ruby, again, he's just, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, huge bullet sponge, just use sponge for damage on this one. It seems like whenever there's a practical team kill against University of Colorado, Ruby's going to be, unfortunately, the man who does fall first. Still getting progress on this one. 2 minutes to go.
Just a Lonely Zen trying their best to stay alive there. That was a bit of an overcommitment from University of Colorado. They used the Shatter and the Nano after they already lost one. They weren't able to finish up the kills. They weren't able to kill Dez, who has been just a nightmare on this man with these walls. Has done a great job, and now the alt bank, it completely flips. UT Arlington, they have built up a little bit of a reserve for themselves. There's a lot of combinations they could use it with, but I'm sure that Coalescence is going to be the first thing they're going to be looking to use. And nope, it's going to be Ruby with a greater flux on the other side, but there's the collapse.
A little Hanzo back and forth, two different high grounds. Ruby getting stunned off the very, very front of this as he tried to engage the Tomato Lord Reinhardt. Dez over on the side. Dez gets absolutely 1v1 down by his Zenyatta. That's Bird Boys popping off right now. Looking for a little bit more too. He's not willing to die quite yet. Love to see it. You do. You really do.
Yeah, Bird Boys had a great transcendence that was able to keep him
Jazz?
alive, but yeah, that is the Jazzy Lucio. I love that. I love the sound it makes when you swap over from heals to speed. But I'm sure right now, Boulder, they're not loving the sound of the fact that it is getting closer and closer to the end for their attack. That timer is at 52 seconds. Yes, they still have some ultimates to use, but UT Arlington, Altbake is just a bit better when that transcendence offline. There's nothing to stop this gravitic flux.
Drags down the middle. Cloud getting super low. Tomato Lord falling first. That's not good for UTA. There's a freeze to try and keep things alive. Dez falls though, and only what Reinhardt caught out in the middle. Cloud from Edgewise, not gonna happen. Super Juice answers that one like the male. Headshots and more. No advantage for you. Shatter down gets it. Oh man. I think we've all hit those shatters.
I just try to avoid playing around as much as possible, but we've all seen it before and just got a little bit overconfident there. The Nano was there and they committed 2 ultimates, got no value out of either. And with 5 seconds left, can anyone even touch the cart right now?
Second barely gets a toe in the very last second. Tomato Lord following again. Saw this went last time. They go with UTA, but lots of picks falling. Ultra Polito up top, trying to find image on the Reinhardt here, and that's Zenyatta with the Bird Boys Transcendence, but not gonna matter. Didn't get the damage spread around. What, it's 300 health per second, but the area of effect there can be a little bit low. Still pushing in. Ultra Polito up top. This is gonna be a nasty little stagger.
Yeah, they are getting ultra depleted. I was thinking if Cloud had lost that fight, it might have been enough for Tomato Lord to get back into this fight. They touched, but it's just going to be a bit of a stagger from the rest of UTA one by one, not going to find anything. They needed 3 on the card there. They didn't have 3. They got the pick and set in. This is going to be a cap in overtime. This card is going to keep rolling on to point 3, but with only a minute and a half left, a full cap looks very difficult unless Colorado can win 2 or 3 fights in a row decisively.
Yeah, so I both agree with what UTA did there, and also just it sucks that it turned out for them right like that, right? They lose the team fight on point. They want to get back to get into overtime, but end up just really feeding into the ultimates of University of Colorado. Funkmaster almost on that shatter. Ruby just switched, so obviously doesn't have a lot there, but Cloud literally almost has enough to make it 12 o'clock again. Crazy stuff. Super Juice with a well-placed headshot again. Really just been indicative of his play so far. Funkmaster falling red and blue, falling left, back and forth. Cloud trying to get a high noon in here, but just well done. Just kind of keep your cool on that one, Funkmaster flex. You got the healers on the back, making sure you're gravy. And this is actually still a really up and down fight. Nobody with a clear advantage on that. Yeah, now Dez not going to do well against these reinforcements.
Almost dies. The Ana was able to get a lot of the pulse bomb going to be thrown in, but not going to be able to find a stick there. And now, this is last fight territory, only 19 seconds on the clock. Cloud swapping to the window, so trying to go for that long-range DPS here once again. Didn't find success on that first point, but now there are good sight lines here. With the Mail going to be eaten by Ruby.
Oh, no! Ruby with a huge play to start this one off. Dez getting nothing from the Blizzard. Coalescence out. Darko doing his part here, but a Bird Boy's Transcendence going to keep it alive for the University of Colorado for the time being. Cloud super low. Healing and more. Darko forced to come back a little bit. Isaiah has his numbers. Dez falls in the front. Moira out back and just comes literally right back to give him a little bit of peace of his mind. That's Funkmaster falling on the end as well as Rubio, the tank core for the side of University of Colorado falling, and nobody's going to be able to touch this one.
It's really unfortunate. There were some really big plays that came out from Colorado at the end, but still they will get stopped before a full cap is completed. About halfway through that second point. Still pretty good for the fact that they got both of those points, the first and second one, in overtime. So came down to the wire quite a lot. Just didn't have the time bank to get them to the end. Now, let's see if they can put up a good defense. All they got to do is make sure that it doesn't get to that golden box of victory. have it the second point, and Colorado will walk away with the upset of the season here at EGFC Overwatch. Meanwhile, UT Arlington, they smell blood in the water. They've had success. They did a great job on Hollywood. They were able to hold quite well here on Junkertown, but can they put up an offense that will get them to that map 5?
Yeah, this would be a beautiful story for UTA, pushing this to a map number 5. You said it, I'm going to back it up. I think that would be the upset of the fall split of this fall times here for the EGFC across 8 different weeks. The simple fact of a storyline like 7-0 coming in, but just showing that little bit of weakness, right? Dropping that one single map last week, and now allowing for University of Colorado to take 2 off of them. Yes, correction, the University of Colorado was up 2-1 coming into Junkertown. Just got 2 points, 30 meters away from the last little endpoint there in overtime.
And look what we have here, dueling pirate ships. I was talking about this on the last game, and I was like, I really hope we don't see Bastion, because I don't like Bastion gameplay, but here it is. The difference is that there's going to be a Mei on the side of the defenders and a Hanzo on the other side. You see Cloud already going to have to back up because that Arista Shield has been kind of destroyed. And I'm not sure how I feel about Colorado holding here on the low ground really close up. I feel like they would have had a better vantage point playing much farther back.
Yeah. Definitely don't do something like they just saw with the Mei up close and personal, but also definitely play this Cloud Bastion a little bit farther back if you're going to play it, and I can't emphasize that enough. Damage boost onto Cloud, that's we've been watching it for a while, but tries to get out of tank form, or turret form, excuse me, and Ultra Polito's going to have his number. Res coming through, so Cloud is back. Dez finding one, Cloud falling at the end. University of Colorado has lost this initial team fight. UTA will get a solid little bit of extra point progress on this.
It's just the shields are destroyed much faster on the side of the University of Colorado. They were never really able to set up properly, and again, I think it comes down to where they played. They wanted to go for that little bit of a combo with the Mei wall, but you saw University of Arlington, they knew it was coming. University of Texas Arlington, they saw it, and instead they just went all the way to the side, set up with their own Bastion, and now they're in a great position to cap this first point.
Shield's out and more. He's trying to cover Dez here. Invincibility field invested early. Super Juice is pretty close to that window, but not there quite yet. There it is. Dez finding all the value in the world. This one much, much less even fighting than our first team fight. It's fair.
Yeah, this point went a lot faster than the first one, and I think a big part of that is, the pirate ship. It's really hard to stop it once it starts. It's very weak on the third point, but still here on the second point, you can find value out of it, especially if you sit up here on the high ground like UTA is trying to do. They're just gonna pop that Bastion right down there, just basically spam out as the defenders come out from spawn-ins. With that and a amplification matrix ready to go, that's gonna be a lot of damage if they can place it in the right spot.
And the idea is Ultra Polito will be getting in damage usually from another spot, but no, okay, the one bunker hold coming out from UTA so far. Ultra Polito was kind of flirting with that other main ledge there. Would have made a lot of sense, but nothing yet. Here it comes. There's the tank formation I was speaking of. Down bottom, shots well placed, but Tomato Lord tries to anticipate the shatter. That's going to bite him for that one. 4 minutes and really, really close to this next point, but Gravitic Flux invested creates, gets a solid few on that turn. Ultra Polito now on the back, Storm Arrows and more, finding not one but 2 on that one. Tank and support as well, and UTA is rolling through here much more handily than University of Colorado did.
Yeah, this is looking a lot like Hollywood did. It seems like when there is a payload involved in the map, UTA, they just come alive. Now they are only half a point away from tying up the series and forcing a map 5, and they are just steamrolling so far. Colorado, they've made some swaps now, the Widow and the Genji. If they're able to build up a Nano Blade in time, that could be the difference maker, but Dez has just been a monster so far on this Bastion.
Maybe the Zaya Genji thing can just some interaction, nice flat given. Tries to disrupt things in the back and Cloud with a different source of damage. Not 100% sure, they're still rocking the 2 shield here, so it'll be kind of difficult to get sniper damage in, right? I don't know. Gravitic Flux in. Dez up top, dangerously close here, 2 meters away. Not going to happen this time as Cloud does find Dez on that Bastion, so that's going to be the first move here. Ruby paying with his life, not even 1 meter away as University of Colorado gotta get on top of this little sleep action. Tomato Gorilla getting very, very slow. A shatter directed exactly towards the Narissa shield, but it's not going to matter. That is UTA tying it up here on Junkertown with a, 3-2?
It's a 3-2 victory on that one. Just great job from Colorado, but you know, they're just kind of, it seems like they're just defenses fall apart a little bit. You saw they try to run into the Bastion, they try to use ultimates against the Bastion, they focus too much on killing the Bastion that the rest of the team fight doesn't even matter. I mean, you saw they killed the Bastion there, but the Dragons came out, the Shatter came out. The Shatter didn't even find anything, but just a little bit of style points at the end. It was really that Dragon that ended that fight, was able to separate the Orisa, and from there, just able to get that final take. They didn't lose a fight the entire time on TAC, I believe. They won every fight. It just kept rolling and rolling. That payload did not stop for the most part. It was contested briefly, but other than that, it just, you know, UTA, they're showing us why they've been undefeated thus far in this split.
Yeah, seven matches so far. I really like how University of Colorado has been utilizing Cloud, especially there towards the end. It might have just been a little bit too late. I admit I wasn't fully about it, but taking out the Bastion was obviously and going to be the very, very first point of attack there when you're going up against your pirate ship setup. Now we got Lijiang Tower here in last for our map number 5. Yes, we have gone the distance. We're going to go to a very short break, let these teams figure out what they want to recreate or not do again. So we head on in to the tied up 2-2 series, basically a one and done at the very, very end. And we are back here, 2-2, University of Colorado with 2, University of Texas Arlington with 2, and Lijiang is where it goes down. MFBI Tugboat, I'm joined with Jag here for what will either be still monumental for UTA dropping their second map, or the third map total of the fall split, or University of Colorado with what we call the upset of the fall split. Yes, if they take this, they will go 5-3 and give the first match loss to the UTA squad.
Absolutely, and it's basically a first to one at this point. Everything that's happened before, it doesn't matter. There's Colorado, yeah, they won the first control map, but that was Nepal. This is Lijiang Tower. It's very different, and you're seeing pretty similar comps across the board. The biggest difference is being the Moira and versus the Ana, and then the Diva versus the Sigma. So a little bit more of a stationary comp coming out from UT Arlington, a little bit more for Colorado to run around. And you see Funkmaster going to be taking a nap and a plunge off the edge.
Wow, yeah, early too. UTA taking a handed advantage. No more Funkmaster on this one. Forced to come back towards inside camp at place. Unleash Ultra Polito is really going back and forth. That's the player that we saw who's really just showing his skill and just getting simply out of the way of damage. Tomato Lord going for a little dive action here onto supports. Now coming back with more. This is a split University of Colorado squad, and that will result in a team fight loss 9 times out of 10.
Darko's really popping up on the Brigida's two flails off the side. Tomato Lord not going to be outdone. Gonna find some kills there as well. But if you can make the Brig work, it can work really well. And this is where you want to see Brig. You want to see it in a composition like this, where everything, all the fights are very up close and personal. Great stun, great crowd control for those click heroes like a Tracer or a Wrecking Ball. So Brigida, definitely more of a welcome sight here than it was on previous maps, and Darko already has that rally online.
So if you get a little bit low here, Cloud doing what he can. This is one of the first times we've seen Cloud not play the hit scan that he seems so prominent at. Illicit falling first, huge source of healing gone for University of Colorado, and I think that's, yeah, I think we know what's going to happen after this one. Darko continuing on that pressure with the flail, getting boops and more. Wow, okay, 2 for 2 there.
Yeah, Darko has just been a nightmare so far for Colorado, as it's going to be 60% and counting before there's even a chance for a re-engage. UT Arlington, in the meantime, they've built up ultimates. They haven't had to use anything so far. They have just continued to have this healthy ult bank, and this is down to 2 Fate territory. They could just use the mines here, maybe use one other ult, try to go for the wipe, and then use everything else they have for the last fight.
Yeah, and if University of Colorado takes their time getting to this, that might just push it to 1 fight territory. Good job taking out Parsifal to begin with. Another one invested from Cloud, not going to have the same result though. Coalescence out early. This is the list who's not able to enter the Shadow Realm, get out from that purple anti-grenade, and I think this is going handily the way of UTA is again as well. You talked earlier about how it seemed like UTA was doing really well when it came to payloads, but it's like they're showing up on the control points as well.
Absolutely, they are showing up right now when it matters the most. It's that Overwatch factor, as my dear friend and fellow caster said to talk about. It's when you remember how to play the game, and right now, UTA, they were playing the game very well.
Wonder what that's like. This is University of Colorado trying to get on in here. Roxanne Moore invested is on board the creates, and yeah, this is just 6 members of UTA. You can focus down an individual. Still, shout out to Alyssa for staying alive that long. 100-0 will be what this was after Focus Beam takes down this Parsifal Moira, and there we go. 100-0 on the first point. Different matchup than our first control point all the way through.
Yeah, that was just all UTA all the time on Lijiang Gardens, and I really hope this isn't how the series ends. It's been so close, so back and forth, and to see 200 and O's back to back would just really be just credit to how great University of Colorado has played tonight and how much of a fight they've put up. So now they're going to try to swap things up and see if they can even this up and force a 0.3. We already seen 1-2-1 go in their favor. Like we said earlier, 80% chance you win control if you win that first point, but that 20% chance is still very possible for this Colorado squad. They're going to be running the Symmetra May, so they're going to be trying to take that point quickly and just control it from there. You see Arlington, they're going to be doing the same thing, but instead of the May, they're going to have the Doomfist. So that's going to be a lot of up close and personal damage. That could be just a one-tap punch that could open up the fight in their favor.
Yeah, so Symmetra's both sides. Illicit, just invested the Lucio at the beginning for the speed boost. Trying to get through here. Maywall invested early on this, as is the vulnerability field. Super Juice not able to get through that. The rest of the squad, same thing on the other side, and UTA focusing damage. Oh my goodness, that is brutal. That is brutal.
Welcome to the microwave.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Tomato Lord was the only loss on that one.
Yeah, now they're gonna get their Ryan back. Their teleporter's still up, so they have a pretty good chance now, and you're gonna see the swaps coming up for Colorado. This is a good call. Not gonna even bother the Symmetra anymore. Gonna try to go for the Pharah flank instead. The biggest thing though is they don't have a Mercy for this Pharah, so no extra damage, no pocket healing. It's gonna be very difficult for this Pharah to really get in there. You gotta break the turrets, you gotta try to just get a lot of chip damage in it, and there is Invocation Matrix coming out from UT Arlington.
It's a decent angle established there from Isaiah, but again, just the idea here is that Parsifal will be the only one to really reliably give him those heals with those armor packs. It'll be a hard task indeed for Illicit to angle those appropriately. As it is, the hit scan Super Juice does take out Farah up top, and Dez, there you go, microwave again. Our food is cold, Jack.
It's getting warmed up as Dez is going to find 4 in that fight. It's going to be Darko, though, looking to chase down Cloud. Cloud kind of caught on no man's land, just going to roll off the side of the mat with a little encouragement from Creates. And again, it's looking very similar to what we saw on the last point of Lijiang. UT Arlington, they just
There's the Mercy.
have the ultimates. They've built things up, and yeah, now we're gonna see Parsifal swap over Snow Brigitte. Now they're gonna have the Mercy, but is it too late now? They are gonna try to do some damage in the back line, but you're seeing already that Symmetra wall, not at the best angle, but it is gonna be enough to be able to split themselves up if they lose a shield.
Acting like he's on timeout, just sitting in the corner so long, and now without a shield, I believe. No, it's not. Cloud on the McCree, the duelist once again. He's at 1. Oh man. Shield up in the face, nothing to be happened from that. University of Colorado gets mega close to at least taking this point, but they are, what, 15% away from that 200-0 that you talked about.
Yeah, they are mega close to losing this series. They have the Shatter online. They've swapped to a Reaper. They swapped to a Wrecking Ball. The Wrecking Ball is going to be their touch if they can make it there. They use the Adaptive Shields a bit too early, and they're going to be running right into an Amp Matrix.
Big Shatter, but the charge came in with Pack Monster at the very end. Gave him a Fire Strike at the end as well. And oh my goodness, is they actually holding his own against a Dez. Raj in the back. Yeah, okay, I was holding my breath there because it seemed like there was a wall out. That is going to be some very tight cleanup from the side of UTA. 3-2 situation overall for them as they take Lijiang Tower 2-0.
Yeah, that amazing upset is not going to happen today, but what a series we just watched. This was one of the best games I've seen in the entirety of the split. One of the best games I've casted ever. It was just, it was fun. It was exciting. There was a lot of great Overwatch, and it's really a shame that one of these teams had to lose today. Colorado, they are going to fall to 4-4, so they're going to be at even. They're not going to be positive. They're not going to be negative, and I'm sure it's a big bummer that they gave up that lead. They were up 2-1 going into that fourth map, but still it shows, you know, with a few roster changes, they can play and hang with the big boys. I think it just comes down to a few coordination issues. They gave up the point quite a bit for free, or just didn't play the objective as well as they should have. Sometimes got a little bit too kill oriented as opposed to being on the payload or just on the point. And when you clear those things up, you can end up being a real contender down the line. And UTA, it did take two map losses, now 3 in this split, but they still are able to come out 8-0 undefeated. They took some damage, they did bleed, but at the end of the day, they still are on top of the EGFC mountain.
I'm with it. What, so 6-3 zeros and 18-0 map count going into the last. Not 100% sure which map they did drop last week, but dropped 2 more this one. And if you're an UTA fan, you got to hope that is not indicative of how this team is going to perform here coming into the future. But if their performance here on Lijiang is any indicator, they will not have a problem with that. We got a little interview action coming up for you guys here soon between me and Jag. We'll be back with you guys in just a minute as we get this set up. And we are back. I'm FBI Tugboat. We got Jag here casting with me for a little interview action afterwards. Juke is down there in producer's box, and we do appreciate him. Yes, we got Super Juice. Super Juice, how are we doing?
Doing good.
Glad to hear. Glad to hear. And you are a support from the side of UTA, is that correct?
Yes, I'm the flex support.
Awesome. Glad to hear. We're going to jump right into this. Both of my questions will be based on your control maps. Now, want to ask, were there any kind of mistakes that you guys saw on Nepal from the very beginning?
There were a bunch of minimal mistakes that could have easily be fixed, but I think our main issues were just positional awareness. Like most of our DPS were getting picked off before our team fight would even start, and we were just getting
Hmm.
too aggro when it was unnecessary.
Gotcha. So just kind of like a lot of little things piling up.
Yeah,
I got you.
honestly.
I got you. Like I said, both my questions are going to be based on that control map. I wanted to ask about Nepal, your fifth map after UTA did take it 3-2 against University of Colorado. Was there any player in particular that you kind of thought was that it factor here on Nepal where you did 200-0 the side of University of Colorado?
On Lijiang, you mean?
Is that what I said?
You said Nepal.
Oh, did I? Yeah, we just asked about Nepal. I mean Li Jiang. You know what I'm talking about. You can read my mind, Super Juice.
Honestly,
There you go.
Darko kind of carried. He
Mm,
hit every one of his CCs. Um, Honestly, I feel like it was a more compositional. Like we were just playing what we were more comfortable with, and
mm.
we played Li Jing a lot more in scrims. Like we haven't played. I don't think we played Nepal this week at all in scrims, so it's something we're a little bit more comfortable with.
Gotcha. I think just that kind of practice showing out there.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you about Darko. I was mentioning it. There was just so many good whip flails as well as shield stuns. I thought that was just really great play from that other support. So give them a pat on the back for us. I want to talk about compositions because we know you guys really for playing that Wrecking Ball Sigma a ton. And it seems like on Nepal, you swapped off of that and ended up moving more to double shield as well as Ryan Sigma or Rista Sigma stuff, which is not really in your guys' wheelhouse or something that we haven't seen as much. So was that because of what happened on Nepal, or was it just something that you were practicing more as the meta has shifted towards double shield?
We kind of shifted towards that meta as we were playing. As we were seeing more teams play that in scrim, so we just planned on playing double shield on any other map other than Koth, because Koth is really it's kind of a toss up if you play double shield. So that's what we did.
Awesome. Well, in the end, you were able to bring it back and take that 3-2 victory, but it did take 5 maps. I know that you guys did lose your first map in week 7. Now you lost 2 more maps this week. You're still at the top of the mountain here in the EGF. You're still at 8-0. So you got to ask, you haven't played Maris, you haven't played RIT, the other two teams that are looking to end this split undefeated after giving up a few maps here and there. Are you still able to compete with those top dogs?
I think we really are able to compete. It's just that we're making a little too many little mistakes, I think. But those could be easily fixed during scrims, and yeah, I don't think there's gonna be any problem if we do go against them. Might be a little close, but we'll be fine.
Well, we love close games, and you did come
Hmm.
away at the end of a very close series with the win. So, congratulations on an 8-0 split. I mean, it's very impressive. So, congrats to the whole team, UTA, a force to be reckoned with. And that's all I got, FBI Tugboat. So, unless you got anything else, I think we can wrap this up.
Nope.
No, sir. That'll be it there. Super Juice, I want to thank you for giving us a minute of your time after the match. Come on in and talking some Overwatch.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm FBI Tugboat, like my man Jack here said. I do believe that is with us reached the least point, my least favorite part of any broadcast, and that's of course the end. Yes, this will be the last match here on stream today. FBI Tugboat here, Jag over there. I almost messed it up there again. Juke, yes, my man down there, producer's box, producing away, making our jobs as casters just so much easier. This has been the EGFC, the Electronic Gaming Confederation or Federation Collegiate side. I always do that. And this has been the last week in the fall split. Well, you can join us next week. Same day on Thursday, but times I do believe will be a little bit earlier, like 5:30 for the first bit of our playoffs in the Vincentian playoffs here for the EGF. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.